Hello and welcome to another Forza Horizon 4 video where today I wanted to talk about something which actually happened about 2 weeks ago. On May 15th or May 16th, depending on what time zone you're in, active players of Forza Horizon 4 were gifted 200 Super Wheelspins in their in-game mailbox. If you were playing at the time, I'm sure you immediately became aware of this because everyone quickly started freaking out. In fact, I was in the middle of a stream over on Twitch myself, and almost immediately my chat all started to tell me to check my messages and that they had all gotten 200 Super Wheelspins from the developers. Well, 2 weeks later, we vaguely know what happened, and we know how Playground Games ultimately dealt with this event, and I just wanted to give a few of my thoughts. So, back to the event, roughly 12 or so hours after the Wheelspins were mistakenly sent out, Playground Games fixed the issue and made it so that anybody who had not been playing during that time span would not receive the insane gift that everyone else did. This obviously creates a bit of a divide between the players who received a bunch of free cars, cash, and cosmetics, and those who were left with no bonus whatsoever. Now, a lot of people had thought that maybe they had intended to do this. In fact, as it happened, I had considered the idea that maybe it was some gift as part of the stay-at-home initiative, where games try and give their player bases some sort of gift to incentivize them staying at home. This was not the case, however, and the official Forza Horizon Twitter handle went on to tweet the following. Yesterday, we accidentally sent an in-game message gifting Super Wheelspins to every player as they logged in. Earlier today, we stopped sending the erroneous in-game message. We recognize our mistake and apologize to all of our players for any confusion. So at this point, there were effectively 3 different routes that they could have taken to respond to the bug. They could have done nothing, allowing everyone who logs in to get the 200 free Super Wheelspins. They could have rolled back the servers and removed extra Wheelspins from accounts who had already received them. Or they could fix the bug and only allow those who were on at the time to keep their rewards, which is what they ultimately did. As to which one they should have gone with, I'm sure you'll find many people who are on each side of the argument believing that one option was much better than the other. In my opinion, the worst choice they could have made is actually the one they ended up going with, as it gives an unfair advantage to players such as myself who are lucky enough to have been online at the time of the bug. But beyond that, which way of going about resolving the issue would have been the best? Should they have just given everyone 200 Super Wheelspins, or should they have just taken them away? Before giving you my opinion, I'd like to talk about the main arguments for both of these choices. First of all, it would have been incredibly easy for them to do nothing and just allow everyone who logged in to receive their free gift. They had already technically done it, so they wouldn't have had to change anything beyond that point, and some could argue that this would bring back players to the game that had previously stopped playing a long time ago. The downside to this, of course, is that suddenly you have all of these players with tens of millions more credits than they had before, and tons of new legendary and expensive cars that weren't previously circulating through the game. As a result, you could argue this damages the in-game economy and might cause other players to lose interest. On the other side of the coin, they could have rolled back the servers to before the Wheelspins were sent out, and doing this would effectively reset the game state to the time before they sent out the message, and anything done between that time and the rollback would have effectively never happened. This avoids bringing in a huge influx of credits and cars into the game at one point, and the game pretty much continues on as it had been. The biggest downside of this, however, is that some of the people were likely just minding their own business, doing some races with their friends or doing some of the story missions, and the next time they logged in, they would then have to redo whatever they had done before because according to the game, they would have never actually completed any of those things. And this also applies to the seasonal events, which, as of late, I've heard plenty of people complaining about some of the trial events taking them more than 10 tries to complete successfully. These people would then be forced to redo the event, this time with less time left in the season for them to do so, and they might just give up on completing the event for a second time and just feel like it's not worth the hassle. Obviously, both sides have their pros and their cons, and in my opinion, the way they should have gone about it is just simply doing nothing. I don't personally see gifting players a bunch of free stuff in a nearly 2-year-old game as much of a problem. Many people claim it hurts the in-game economy, and while that's probably true, I don't think the in-game economy should be the biggest concern in a title which is all about racing cars. I'd go as far as to say most people rarely make use of the auction house in any way where they'd even be aware of the differences in prices between now and before the Wheelspins were sent out. I also think that the fact that it could have brought more people back to the game would have been a great reason to keep it as is. The next Forza game is probably going to be announced here in the next few months, and if you're bringing more eyes to your last game, they're more likely to hear about the next one and immediately become more interested than if they weren't playing the game at all. Now, had this have happened within the first few months of the game being released, I would have absolutely expected them to have rolled the servers back because at that point, players would have been rushed through the content and wouldn't have much more to work towards for the rest of the game's lifespan. But because it's nearly 2 years old, I don't think there's that much harm in giving a gift like this to players who otherwise were probably not going to unlock all the cars anyways before Motorsport 8 or Horizon 5 are released. But let me know what you guys think. Are you one of the lucky players who received the free Wheelspins? And what would you have done if you were Playground Games and you had to make the choice of how to handle the issue? I don't think there's really any right answer because every answer has an argument that's pretty valid in some way, and I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on the matter. If you've made it this far through the video and you did enjoy, please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you're new around here. Also, feel free to check out my Twitch channel in the description down below, where I've been playing a ton of Forza during the week and plenty of variety games on the weekend. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.